Monster OC storytime / coloring session. This is Basil, a horrifying, possibly demonic amalgamation of skin and flesh. He very, very easily falls apart, so needs to keep getting new material to keep himself together. His insides themselves are completely stuffed with various raw meats and just a lot of teeth. He feeds on those who are completely secluded and leaves only bloody bones and hair, things he has no use for. His origin is unknown, but he seems to have been around since at least the early 1970s and has been spotted mostly in Europe. To his friends, other monsters, he's generally seen as a kind but quiet creature when he isn't hungry, and brutally violent when he craves more material for his body. He is the only one of his kind, and very little creatures can make sense of his garbled, wet speech. Hope you all like this kind of different thing and want more of my monsters, because I have a lot of horrifying little friends that I've made. Time for the next monster storytime / coloring session. This is Dahlia. Notably, she is Basil's best friend and travel companion. But moving on to her specifics, Dahlia is a creature inhabiting a porcelain doll and has been around since the late 1800s. She's vague about what exactly she is, but she's called herself a parasite on multiple occasions. She's not very kind or patient, mostly because she's focusing on making sure Basil is keeping together. He's the only creature she thinks gets her. She's his only direct interpreter and defends him whenever he needs to speak up. The knife strapped to her arm is on purpose to intimidate people into running, because once her prey takes off, her real body will slither out of the doll and pursue until she can't catch them. Her and Basil met when she was hunting, when Basil first showed up in the 1970s. She was his first friend, and he is her first friend. I hope you like her, and tell me what you all want next. Decided to fit in another monster storytime coloring session today, just because I could. This is actually the main monster character, imagine that, but this is Gooby, full name Goobert, and he is a young monster who was raised by another one whose name is Margot. He eats humans frequently and is still learning to speak, but he communicates through stomping his feet in Morse code, which everyone can understand. After finding and reading a human book, he's become enthusiastic about being a hero, aka a knight or any of your stereotypical fantasy heroes. His mother lets him go out and do quests for their neighbors, like just little chores. He knows Dahlia and Basil as travelers who pass through from time to time, and he likes Basil more. The original concept for these monsters was for it to be a slice-of-life-style RPG game, if that makes any sense. I don't have any experience making games though, but I'd love to pursue it still. Hope you like him, and please stay tuned for more, hopefully tomorrow. Another monster intro / color session. This is Margot. She's one, if not the oldest monster in the small community her and Gooby live in. She's raised a lot of child monsters in her time, and looks after a lot of the other monsters' children while they're out hunting. She's soft-spoken, but don't let that fool you. She can hold her ground and has the highest body count of any of my monsters, due to her long lifetime and her aggressive, unrelenting hunting style. She hails from Russia, but has been in Central Europe for centuries and founded the village they live in. Her face is a mask that she keeps on at all times. No one knows what's under it, not even Gooby or her arguably best friend Lawrence. She only takes it off when going in for the kill. She's not the only one of her species, but she differs from them in living above ground, away from the dark caves they inhabit. She's the closest thing to the mayor in their village, and almost everything goes through her first. She's generally looked up to as a grandmotherly figure. That's all for Margot. Hope you like her, and Lawrence is up next. Another monster storytime / coloring session. This time around it's Lawrence, the second oldest monster in their community. He's part of a very populous insectoid species, but due to an accident during one of his molts, he lost the lower half of his body and pretty much just stays put. He runs the general store / trading post / post office in town, so he's very busy and familiar with everyone who lives there, as well as everyone who passes through. He helps out Margot when he can, and gives Gooby plenty of errands to run when he's way too stressed out, which is very often. He's a lot more skittish and neurotic than anyone else, and is more so the kind to scream about how everyone needs to calm down when he's the only one freaking out. He is considered weak by most monsters because of his panic disorder and lack of mobility, and he's been completely disowned by his species because of it as well. If he had to, he could definitely take a human in a fight, because his arms are very, very sharp. But that's my guy Lawrence. I hope you like it. This may be the last one for a bit, since I want to introduce some of my fantasy universe characters, but the monsters will be back very, very soon, I assure you.